Definitely not.
And we are swapped over.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
I'm going
Welcome
to-
to Discount Hell. We are here to draw art and maybe, how many of us have cocks?
Hopefully everybody.
Yeah, pretty much everybody, I think. So,
No.
I lost mine. Can I borrow yours, Soft?
No, I don't
It's-
have enough to share.
Oh, but I need a...
no more snick.
How can I draw Pinterest if I don't have a fucking...
You don't need an extra one.
I need
You
more.
don't know what they need.
I know what they need, and it's not an extra one.
I need more. I need to walk on a sea of them.
Oh my lord.
More. Give me more.
You know, when you said that, that reminds me of this guy. I remember his name. I'm gonna talk about this. His name is Shuk. It's an old furry artist, and I remember, I think something close to like 15 years ago, he drew a picture as a commission for someone for their triple monitor setup, and it's their character in the middle, and from left to right, like something like 6,000 pixels of just cocks, just so many cocks.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need more.
Yeah, apparently it took him like several weeks to do that piece, and he charged like out the ass for it, but the person really wanted it for their triple monitor setup, so
Wait, this is 15 years ago, right?
yes, this was like 15 years ago or so.
That's like 2008. If someone's got a triple monitor set up in 2008, they're fucking loaded.
I mean,
Right.
they were rich enough to afford that art piece, so clearly.
Yeah.
Reminds me of that fucking thing where Gordon Ramsay was going around in a hotel room saying it's like, oh my god, it's like a mosaic of semen.
What a good... He came out with some bangers, I'm not gonna lie. He has some good
Yeah.
shit. He had
Yeah.
some funny ones, like, just... This chicken is so raw, a skilled veterinarian could probably save it. That's funny as hell.
Ark, you may want to move that text in the bottom left corner up a little bit. It's kind of hidden behind the YouTube scroll bar.
Is it?
Whatever you would call that. Taskbar? Control bar?
What do I want to draw on this fine Valentine's Day?
Draw Valentine's.
It's the time of the Valens.
Love is in the air.
Valentine's Day.
I went and bought some Valentine's Day cupcakes for my housemates because I love my housemates. And the lady at the bakery is like, "Here's an extra one. This is from me to you." I'm like, "Thank you. That's so nice. Thank you, sweet old lady."
How romantic.
Did she lick her
I
lips
know.
when looking at you?
Can't just have a nice little moment.
I wouldn't be surprised if she did secretly behind the fucking corner.
Minty,
Just
I
I
know
turn
you can
away
draw.
and it's just like,
I know what you can draw, Minty.
What is it? I was gonna draw a sideways Pinterest, but what have you got?
I was gonna say, draw Saint Valentine being a little too promiscuous.
Is this going over my head?
I would just say a Valentine's Day Pinterest, but I mean...
No, I mean the guy, the actual person that holiday is named off of.
Oh.
Saint Valentine.
I don't know if you were making some... I don't know if it's like a character in Fate or something.
No. Well, I mean,
wouldn't be shocked.
that would be funny if Saint Valentine was in Fate, actually. I didn't even think about that.
Google.
It's
Show me
probably
this guy's
not.
balls.
So stupid.
This song is going to be playing the entire time we're here tonight. Just so everybody
What
knows.
song?
Hydrogen.
Moon Hydrogen?
Hydrogen, yeah.
How loud is it?
Not very.
How do I remove this? There's so many things on this page that need to go away. Go away.
I have a 4-hour fucking extended mix playing.
You know-
Your mix.
It's very quiet, and maybe that's a good thing, so you don't get VOD muted.
Well,
Is
if
that
the
a
VOD
thing that
was gonna,
happens on YouTube?
It doesn't
YouTube-
happen live.
it won't.
YouTube
sorry.
doesn't really do that.
Well,
What
no.
they'll do is they'll say, "Hey, this is this, and this is the problem." But if it were an issue, our previous, Hotline Miami would have been muted, and it wasn't.
How do I put this? The most they may do is demonetize the video, but
Let 'em.
that's kind of not what we're doing anyway.
We're not monetizable anyway.
Yeah, so it kind of doesn't matter. They won't mute us, so it's kind of
Fuck you, Susan. You can't hurt us in a way that matters.
It's been over 10 seconds. We can say fuck.
Can I say the Australian word?
Yeah, all you want.
may.
Yay! I can finally say cunt again.
Hell yeah. Does Twitch not like that word?
I don't know.
I mean, I
We're on
assume
YouTube.
not.
I mean,
So YouTube has this thing about the best point for ads is at the very beginning. Therefore, you're not allowed to cuss for
that's what I said.
minimum 10 seconds. However, they've extended that recently to like 35 seconds.
Yeah.
But
I
I
remember the
couldn't
Eric
give
video.
two fucking shits less. I cuss all I want.
Yeah, no, you can't control my words.
I
What
don't
are you
see
gonna do?
plastic
Demonetize
drawing.
this? You don't make. I don't know if they're drawing right now.
Plastic's just being a voyeur at the moment.
That is fair.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm in my head a little bit. I don't really know what to draw.
Draw
Draw.
Valentine's Day stuff.
Yeah, draw Valentine's. Like draw angel dust holding like little Valentine's Day chocolates.
I have an idea to pitch, but it requires Minty's express approval.
Fearful of this, but go ahead.
I want to see Plastic's take on the moth.
The moth?
The
Well,
their
my-
Sona, the minty Sona thing.
Maybe on a cute
Yeah.
little Valentine's postcard
They can do
Maybe.
whatever they want.
or
I
Hallmark
don't know
card.
about OCs right now.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's
Can
fair.
I see the
Okay.
moth?
There's a
If I come up with something, I might doodle something, but I don't know about OCs.
Yeah, that's fair.
yes.
Oh god, I just realized how big this canvas is.
It's
Yeah, I was
huge.
gonna say little shrimpy in the corner.
He's a
Dana!
Well,
Oh, and none of you guys watch Smiling Friends, did you?
I don't
I
watch.
saw like. Well, I remember Ark and I, Din, and a few others were watching through Smelling Friends for a bit. We got through like a few episodes, but then we stopped watching it. Not because we don't like it, just because we haven't done it again.
Well, you know, people don't tend to. Yeah, no.
Oh, woe is you.
Pardon?
We do need to get back to the boys, though.
Oh yeah, I started after you fuckers, and I've already finished it.
It's hard to get everyone together.
I can't finish anything because I'm fucking Professor Calamitous build.
I'm pretty good at finishing most of the time.
Uh-huh.
It was low hanging fruit. I had to.
Fruit's fruit.
Yep. Still ripe at least.
Don't use that
I
word.
can respect the game.
I'll say it again if you ask me not to.
Please say it again.
Ripe asshole.
Delicious. Thank
Remember
you.
the word nubile? How we
I love that
had a
word.
face?
My sweet, soft, nubile body.
That's
Oh,
from
God.
Far Cry New Dawn, I think.
I used to say that
Yeah.
word so much just to frustrate people. My sweet,
that can't-
succulent, nubile body.
That game existed, huh?
What, New Dawn? It's not a bad game.
Yeah, it's not as good as 5, and it's fine. You know, it's the game's
I-
fine basically.
I keep forgetting that they made a Far Cry after 3.
Yeah, 4,
Which
5,
was better than
New
3.
Dawn, 6. I think maybe they're
Ooh,
working on a
hot
7
take
or
on that
something.
Far Cry 4 being better than 3 is not a hot take. Just because people really appreciate Voss does not mean that Far Cry 4 was not better. It was better mechanically, the world was bigger, there were more items, there were more tools, more things to
Mhm.
do.
I know,
I've
that
only
ending
played
really
one.
put a sour taste in my mouth.
What was
I've
that,
only
Plastic?
I've only played one Far Cry game, and I already know that Far Cry 5 is the best one of them all. There's no way it can get better than that. There's no fucking way.
Pagan Min was a way better antagonist. God, I love Pagan Min.
Yeah, well, I don't fucking hear people quoting Pagan Min now, do I?
That's because everybody's too busy being blinded by nostalgia goggles. I went back and I played Far Cry 3. I'm sorry to say, it doesn't really hold up very well.
Really? Oh, that's a shame.
It's
I'll admit,
okay.
I haven't gone back to it in a while. I just remember having a great time.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I never beat 3, but I did play a lot of it, and I did have pretty decent fun with it at the time. It was fine. It was a fun
But
little
it-
game.
but it's-
4, I kind of didn't. You know, it's funny. I think the reason I actually stopped playing 4 pretty quickly was because it ran not very good on my computer at the time, and I just never went back to it because I didn't actually own it legitimately. I just kind of deleted it and was like, whatever, and I just haven't bothered. But maybe if it's on sale, I'll grab it and give it another shot.
I'd recommend it. I will say the best Far Cry game ever made is kind of a toss-up between Far Cry 2 and Far Cry Blood Dragon.
I can
I'll be real.
respect the Blood Dragon take, but I don't know about Far Cry 2.
Far Cry 2 is really, really good. Mechanically, it doesn't hold up as much as it did back in the day, but at the time, it was still one of the biggest games out there.
Yeah, what were you gonna say, Ellie?
I was just gonna say, I really do feel like 5 is one of the best. Like that game kind of does a lot of stuff, and even if you don't have like an attachment to that setting, for example, it just does so many things right. Honestly, the only real major flaw I can think of with that game really is, and this is more of a personal thing, which is after a bit, you just kind of get pulled into a cutscene and you don't get to like go to the thing to do it. I wish you didn't have to, but that's just a personal thing that just bothers me because I get like jarred by sudden shit very easily just as a person. So
How could you stand Far Cry 3? Because that game did that literally every 5 minutes.
I don't remember it happening much.
Oh my god, every time you walk into a place you need to go to, it's a whole new cutscene.
Well, yeah, no, I know that, but you have to go to the place. I'm talking about like you're just doing open world stuff, and the game's like, by the way, we're gonna shoot you, and now you're in a cutscene.
Yeah, that I didn't like that in Far Cry 5. I will say Far Cry 5
That
could
was
have
really
been
good.
Far Cry 5 could have been a lot better if the antagonists were as good as the previous ones.
They're pretty good. What do you mean? It's one of the best parts about it. Is the antagonists are really interesting.
They're
And well
interesting,
made, well done.
but they are not as prevalent as, say, Voss or Pagan Min. Pagan stays with you throughout the entire game because he's like in 4, he's constantly calling you on the radio, being a shit lord, and he's so funny.
Joseph C does that to you too, to be fair.
What the fuck even happened in Far Cry 1?
So Far Cry 1 is a story about a guy who was hired to go to this island and deal with shit because he was a retired CIA member or some shit like that.
Always an island.
And then weird shit started happening. At first it was normal. And here's what bothers me about the Far Cry series as a whole. Far Cry 1 goes from 0 to about 200 for no reason, with fucking monsters and mutants and weird shit going on, and it's never brought up again, ever.
Yeah,
Maybe
see,
if-
like I've never known anything about that game besides the fact that people said it was kind of mediocre.
What, Far Cry 1? It's a good game. It's hard. It's really fucking hard.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
What's up,
It
Ellie?
was. What?
What were you saying?
What was I saying?
I don't know.
I don't either, honestly.
I
I'm
heard
just-
Ellie say that's what she said.
No, I said that.
Oh.
No, I said that.
No.
Hmm.
Ellie, I will fucking murder you in your sleep.
Ellie, I can't believe you would say that. Apologize to Plastic right now.
I'm so sorry, Plastic. I didn't mean to say that to you.
Thank you, Plastic.
I'm confused. Wait, hold on. What just happened? Hold on.
Shit over, shelve it.
That was pretty good. I like that.
I feel gaslit by reality.
I
It
okay.
tends to do that.
So
Join the club.
I played this game. It's called Lunacid, right? There's this character in Lunacid, and
Luna?
her name is
like from Hell of a Boss?
no, it's not even spelled the same. But there's this character, and her name is Cheryl, and she's awesome.
Cheryl?
Yeah,
Like from Silent Hill Shattered Memories?
I'm gonna slap the fucking piss out of your mouth.
You're
Sorry.
making a lot of powerful enemies tonight, Ellie.
Her name is
I know,
Cheryl.
I'm sorry.
Like I love this character for a couple of reasons. Her entire reason for being is to be a joke, but at the same time she's also hot. So her name is
Okay.
Cheryl, and she is a crow. Her name is Cheryl the Crow.
Sheryl Crow.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Cheryl the Crow. That's her name.
Sorry. There wasn't really anything unbelievable about that. I just wanted to participate.
I just thought it was funny.
Was Sheryl Crow the one who sang "Feel Like a Woman," or was she the one who sang "Soak Up the Sun"?
I don't remember.
I think it was the one who sang "I Feel Like a Woman"
Man.
or
Feel-
"Forever and Always."
Billy is being very insistent that Far Cry Primal is
Yes.
the best Far Cry game.
I see.
I also forgot that exists.
I
Far
did
Cry
too until
Primal.
just now.
Far Cry Primal's fun, but it gets very boring very quickly. You literally
Really?
spend 80% of the game poking somebody with a spear or shooting them with a bow. Which-
Sheryl Crow sang "Soak Up the Sun."
Oh, they did.
Wanna soak up the sun.
No,
Gonna
I do.
tell
Shania Twain
everyone.
was the other one.
I think the problem.
it. You're not allowed.
I sing it.
Sorry.
I instinctually went to kick you from the call.
Who, me?
No, Ellie.
Uh-oh.
Why?
I don't know. I just had that urge. Like my mouse went over, and I'm like, wait, I don't have that power here.
I can do it
Plastic
to you, though.
absorbs the director power from Ellie's soul.
You do it, I won't come back.
I know.
But Cheryl the Crow has such a simplistic design. I'm gonna post her in live on there. I
I'm
love
not
her.
posted in stream memes so everyone can see what you're talking about.
No, they can Google. Just Google it.
Oh, she's
Fuck you,
cool.
I'm posting it there.
Fuck you.
I like her design. It's so simplistic, and yet
It's a cool bird. I like a bird.
she also sleeps. She's the only character in the entire game who sleeps because she's the only character in the entire game who's alive.
Well, that's kind of a spoiler.
Is it? She says it as soon as you meet her
I
How
don't
was
know.
I supposed to know?
by talking to
How
her.
was I supposed to?
Don't
How was I
spoil,
supposed to
didn't boot
know?
the game up yet.
Yeah, idiot.
That's on
Actually-
you.
I actually want to bring up an interesting thing I heard earlier today. I want to get some opinions on this.
Okay. What's that?
A friend of mine
Who deleted it
got
from?
Continue soft.
Did I delete it from live on air?
Yeah.
The fuck? You know what? I guess I went on autopilot and I was like, oh, I posted that in live on air. Whatever. A friend of mine got into a conversation earlier today, essentially saying that they don't, and you can immediately take a guess as to what this was related to. But they said they aren't really bothered by spoilers in media because, like, they're not someone who spoils media for other people on purpose. It's a personal thing for them. And they say that's because it was specifically about narrative twists. And they said that if a narrative relies on twists to have impact, it's a bad narrative. And I've never really heard that before. I find that kind of an interesting viewpoint. Because there have been a few properties I've interacted with before where I was spoiled on very important parts of the story, usually inadvertently, and I did it to myself because I have no self-control. But
Mhm.
and even though I was spoiled, it didn't like ruin the experience for me. It just made me want to know more. So I'm wondering what other people think about that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Are narratives kind of too dependent on surprise twists to have impact nowadays?
So you have already seen almost any story you are going to see. You've already read it or you've already seen it played out in some form of media.
So basically, almost everything you watch is a retelling of something else. So with that in mind, we're also able to look at things and relate to things like what's going to happen, right? Like we can surmise or assume that such and such is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And normally it feels really good to be right. You will see it coming and you won't be disappointed because you already quote unquote spoiled it for yourself just in your head. You knew what was going to happen because we have this ability to assume what's coming in a story. Because we basically we know the tropes. I will say, I think media, especially in video games, is too reliant on the reuse of certain tropes. But to take it and have to rely on throwing the viewer for a loop with a weird twist that makes zero sense does kind of ruin the flow of the story. You could look
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going to add to what you're saying. That specific thing you just described, we have a term for that. It's called jumping the shark.
I don't know if that's specifically what that is. I thought jumping the shark was like running out of ideas and introducing something really wacky to keep relevancy.
I thought it was just kind of a random sudden twist that just like completely kills the pacing and a few other things about the movie, just to kind of be like, oh, new thing.
Well, I can actually, like, I'm gonna actually, for the first time ever, I'm gonna use the canvas really quickly,
Oh my god.
and I'm going to show you what I mean once I learn how to do it. I don't know how to do this, so I'm going to use this pencil tool here. I'm gonna go down here. Oh, it's so laggy for me. So you have your basic story down here, right? It's a straight line, right? Zoom in here. So this is your basic story. You want it to be a straight line.
The whole stream can see this.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry, but
It's
you
okay.
want your story to be a straight line because it's easy to follow and it's pleasing and you can enjoy it. Yeah, sure. Every now and then there's gonna be like a little bump, little dip. You know, your uppers and your downers, sure. But then you have another problem when people want to throw in a random twist. So you have your straight line, and then all of a sudden, that's not fun.
I love this loop-de-loop.
So this is your timeline, and this is this alternate timeline. At some point along this line, it shifted to your alternate timeline.
I love Primer.
But that's what I mean. It's like it's really hard to appreciate story writing and storytelling if you have to fucking ruin it with something like that. I say ruin. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But we are so simple that easy to follow things are more pleasing than complicated things. That's why M. Night Shyamalan's one of the worst directors of all time.
My main question was more or less just like, I don't really know what the entire point of me saying that was. I guess I just wanted some opinions. But I guess the point of my friend was more that if one spoiler can completely ruin a story for you, it wasn't that good of a story to begin with.
I
That's
will
legit.
say, I will say, if one spoiler can completely ruin a story, it wasn't very good. I think that's a bit too general of a statement.
It was meant to be a very general statement.
I
yeah.
think I get it.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like how
well-
people were trying to spoil a certain game that just came out recently by
What I was talking about.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I can explain this. I've played the game. I'm not gonna hide it. I played it. You know, anybody who knows me knows I was playing it and thoroughly enjoying it. But the thing is that everything that they tried to spoil, I had already assumed from the first 5 minutes of playing the game.
So you called the twists.
It's not a twist. It's something that
Well-
happens in that series. That happens very often in that series.
I guess not the twists. You called the plot.
Yeah, I knew what
points.
was going to happen like within 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
it wasn't really anybody spoiling anything. If that spoiled anything for anybody, they don't know how to get invested into the rest of the story. Because knowing the end doesn't mean anything. Knowing how it ends means nothing. The journey
Mhm.
from beginning to the end is what's important.
It's the friends we made along the way.
In a way, yeah.
That's right, plastic. Yeah, that's more or
I
less what I was getting at. Like, I've been spoiled in the ending to Disco Elysium, and yet I don't feel at all like I don't feel at all like
Can I-
that experience was ruined because I just want to know what led up to that point.
Can I just say before I continue and it gets
No, go for
lost? I know this. I know what you said, Plastic, but I thought you said the real things was the French we made along the way.
Oh,
The French
And I'm
toast.
like,
the French
Oh.
onion soup.
I meant like
What?
people. Like we conjured up some Frenchmen or something. I don't
Hey,
know. Weird mishearing. Continue anyway.
I gotta know. Somebody messed with
Mhm.
the channels. I want to know who it was.
Did
I'm not gonna be mad.
What
I'm not
channels?
upset about it.
Which
can look.
channels?
But-
I can look at the audit log.
Somebody had messed with the channels and made a few channels visible to people.
There was one point where I made live on air visible because I misunderstood something I was looking at, but I didn't touch literally anything else. So if anything else was changed, I have no idea. And I fixed it because apparently there were no perms for anybody but everyone. And
Yeah,
Minty.
that was yesterday when you popped in and I was streaming Dead Space.
Did something happen since then?
yeah, there shouldn't have been anything. I
Avery
literally
just brought it back up, and I'm curious if there were any other channels that had been shown that shouldn't have been being shown.
I don't think so. Like I said, live on air had perms for basically Minty and at everyone.
Mhm.
And that got jumbled up for a second when I was trying to, make it more appropriate with roles involved and stuff. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
fixed that.
Mm.
If anything else happened to any other channel, I legit have no idea.
Yeah, the audit log doesn't say anything about anything else.
Maybe it was a
It's just
Discord update fucking shit up.
Discord
I
is
don't know.
broke as fuck. I wouldn't be surprised.
It's like so weird though. When somebody said that they could see the live on air channels, that freaked me out because we post stuff that people shouldn't see in live on air. It's
Yeah.
we should.
Yeah, I didn't touch
yeah.
the text chats either. Also, by the way,
Boobs.
it was just the voice channel. That was the only thing I touched.
Yeah, even the fucking
Jack.
everything in the studio.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I have no idea. I did not touch the studio as a group
Mm.
even slightly.
But
promise
yes, thank you
that.
for bringing it up. That's
Yeah.
appreciated.
Yeah,
Yes.
always important to keep your eye out for shit like that because
Oh. Can
See
I answer
something,
this
say
one?
something.
what? Hold on. What is
What's
it?
your opinion on deconstructing tropes? Can I answer this?
Go for it.
I'm really fucking tired of it. I'm so tired of Justin Roiland.
How do I put this? I'm not a fan. Like, it can work and it can be interesting, but how do I put this? If someone, this is just kind of a general phenomenon. If someone makes something good that is unique in a particular way, and it gets a lot of approval, people really like it, a lot of people see it, they go, oh, it's really good. I fucking hate the fact that a bunch of talentless fucks try and copy it in the same way, and it becomes a thing for
That's
a
fair.
while.
We're talking to you, Juve Bowl.
But
Sorry.
just that particular trend, every time it happens, annoys me. Like, fucking... I'm just gonna use video games as an example. So, Five Nights at Freddy's is the thing, right? Whether or not it's good, whatever. A lot of people liked it, though. And, people can say, oh, it was fun. Then we get, like, what? How many
God.
child's play, whatever the
Mascot
fuck?
horror.
Yeah, it's like people, like a bunch of people tried to fucking cash in on that fucking idea, and that shit
I don't
annoys the piss out of
I
me.
think that's what the question is, but I could just be stupid.
Okay, so the question is deconstructing tropes.
No, I was just giving an example of how the deconstructing thing that happened is a thing that happens to stuff when it becomes successful.
Yeah,
I
was gonna
guess
say
that's what I was
more
trying
like
to say.
that seems more like trend writing than anything.
I
Yeah, that.
I think the idea of deconstruct. I don't like. Somebody explain this to me before I say anything. What is deconstructing tropes?
I guess it
Like-
kind of depends. Ellie, do you want to?
Sure. Deconstructing tropes. I think they mean like you have a thing, right? Like I'll just give it. I'll just use an anime example that most people probably have at least heard of.
Just say
Uh,
Undertale.
No, I said anime. I guess
Mhm.
Undertale works though, but like magical girls, fucking Sailor Moon, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Deconstructing trope. fucking Madoka, which is just like, it's this, but it's like, it wasn't what they wanted and everyone suffers. And that's not every single one goes that way, but it's taking a thing that is like a genre or whatever the fuck, and
So
then
it's like Isekai and Sword Art Online.
flipping it in a way, or breaking down why this thing, like, interestingly enough, fucking Evangelion is technically a deconstruction of giant robot trope,
Oh,
which
Yeah,
is
exactly.
which is like how do these characters really behave in a realistic setting? I mean, Evangelion is good. I'm not saying that's not, but that's an example of it.
Okay. So what I was gonna say is accurate. Okay. And before I do,
Okay.
Avery, yes, you did do a good thing letting us know about that.
Thank
you were
you.
one of the people. Yes, thank you. So what I was gonna say was, I think in a way, it allows people to make fun or to reuse and rewrite the same thing and make it interesting and new. So it's not really a bad thing to reuse and remake or redefine something in media, especially in things like video games and, you know, animation. Like for example, here's a good example. You have Alone in the Dark. Alone in the Dark is a really good game. It's an amazing game. It's an amazing game series, except for the one where you are in New York. But that being said, Alone in the Dark was fantastic. That entire game was then remade by a completely different company.
On the Game Boy Advance.
No, it was.
Yes, actually.
Well,
I'm sorry. Did you see that?
No, I was talking about Resident Evil.
Oh,
Resident Evil is, by what I was just explained, a deconstructed trope of what that game was. Except they took it and made it a B movie, kind of funny, kind of poorly written but well written, really good game. And they ran with it, while Alone in the Dark continued to do its own thing. So while it was the exact same game to begin with, in a way, it became its own thing and went on its way to redefine this particular subgenre.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, in a way, yeah, it can get kind of boring to see the same thing over and over, but you're only seeing the same thing over and over if it's done poorly.
mhm.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was alluding to, which is that, like, it's not that deconstructing or taking a thing and kind of doing a twist on it and stuff is inherently, like, bad. It's that, I will say, lately, what happens is someone will do that, and there's a bunch of copycats of that type of thing, and the quality of those copycats can be,
Questionable.
like, yeah, like, sometimes it's fine and good. Like, there's definitely times where they do it and it's like, oh, that's really interesting, actually. That's cool. But then you also get ones who are, like, you know, just kind of cashing in, or maybe they're trying and they're just not very good at what they're trying to do or whatever. And it's just kind of like, okay. And then you start to get irritated by seeing it and you're like, oh, it's this shit again.
Yeah, you know, like how Dark
and
Souls
then
was
it-
the Hotline Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Souls wishes it could be what Hotline Miami was.
What?
Anyway,
I
two
don't know what you're
things.
talking about.
Two things. One, what I was talking about before, I just got so fucking excited about this because I remembered it from the Nintendo Direct about how they're porting a bunch of, like, Game
What
Boy
the
and
fuck
Game
is that
Boy
sound?
Color games.
Hold on, what does that
Hello?
sound?
Oh, I accidentally pressed a button. Sorry.
Oh, the
Ew.
voice call thing.
Oh,
Apparently, there's a
Magma.
button right there where my hand is. I'll let you continue. I really wanted to say something earlier, but let you continue.
Just gonna say they ported Alone in the Dark: The New Nightmare to Game Boy Color. That's a
Jesus
real
Christ.
thing, and it's gonna be playable on your Switch. Minty, you go ahead and say the thing you wanted to say. I can wait.
The conversation earlier concerning spoiling things.
Okay.
Yes, you guys were having such a good conversation. I didn't want to interrupt you. What I want to say was concerning, like, oh, hey, you know, feeling spoiled. To play devil's advocate here, there's kind of that desire to be surprised and to experience something new. And for a lot of people, like, they're like, oh, hey, I want to go and do this thing because it's going to be unexpected. It's like, why would someone want to go watch a Shyamalan Shyamalan film is it's like, I know it's going to be some batshit twist. And that's like the appeal, because it's like, hey, I want to see how absurd it is. I guess it's like absurdist paintings or abstract, you know, you want to appreciate it for just the shock and the experience and like, wow, this is something I wouldn't have expected before. Wow, this is something new and different. Rather than like, oh, hey, this is a traditional picture. Yes, this is a very nice painting of a rustic cottage. Can I please get some like bright pink splashed in diagonal line? That'd be really nice. That's my devil's advocate moment in that regard.
That's fair. I get that too. Like sometimes people do spoil the one thing I didn't want spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
I will
mean,
say
again-
though,
Oh,
sorry, I just want to quickly say, the people on YouTube who will set fucking spoilers to games as the thumbnail, those people deserve an extra level in hell beneath heresy.
Seems like you're speaking about someone in particular.
No, I just like, I'll
Oh.
fucking be on YouTube and it's like, hey, here's the Old Gods DLC final villain. It's secretly X. It's like, that's really cool. This game came out, like, this DLC came out literally yesterday. Fuck you.
Can't believe the final boss is an imp. Just one imp.
Moxie.
No, yeah. Did. What the fuck was I gonna say? Help. Please help me. My brain is rotting.
I was gonna say, Minty, I'm really impressed by your ability to remember a thought and like hold on to it for that period of time and then have it later. Because if I was in your position, I would have been like, and then I would have forgotten within like just a little bit.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's all right. I just didn't want to interrupt you guys because you guys were like really engaging over that topic really well. I'm like, you know what? I want to see where this goes. I like listening to this.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm legitimately, I'm like, I actually envy that ability because I can't hold on to thoughts for that long. They all drift
You can
away
hold on to
and
me.
they always drift off somewhere,
Ehu.
never to return.
But yeah, of course, the point about spoilers was mainly, it was entirely meant to be sort of sweeping, a sweeping generalization. Like, of course, no one actually enjoys being spoiled on anything, but I just like their perspective on if a story isn't complex and interesting enough that one single strand of that tale being unwoven is enough to make the whole thing fall apart. It just
Yeah,
wasn't
that's-
very strong enough to begin with.
I can
Mhm.
agree with that entirely. Like, the feeling of being cheated on twist is there, but if your entire expectation is, oh, I require this twist to have fun, it's like, well, I think you're just here to like throw a coin in the air and see where it lands.
Yeah, at that point, just watch Clue. Shout out to the movie Clue. Go watch it.
Thanks, Mike.
I don't want to draw now.
Oh,
That's right, Mike.
the other thing I was going to say about deconstructing tropes, I wanted to like make a clarification because I realize I may have head-assed myself a little, as I want to do. What I meant to say was I am really fucking tired of cynical trope deconstruction, like the shit Rick and Morty does.
Yes.
I hate that so much. It is so tiring. It was getting old when South Park was doing it like 2 decades ago, and it's still getting really old now. Good.
I understand what you mean.
Good trope deconstruction, like what Undertale did with video games as a whole, really, I guess, and RPGs and the like, about how just so casually we've accepted that violence is the only answer to any problem in a game that's not a puzzle game, and turning that on its head to make something new of it. That was really cool. You can deconstruct tropes in a way that makes for new and engaging ideas, and that's great. It's just when it gets cynical that I get really fucking tired of it. I like enjoying things.
I totally understand. I'm like that, but like, okay. I'm gonna complain at something, and this may not be the right audience for it, but I'm gonna say it anyway because it made me
Don't get
think
it
of
out.
it. So here, yeah, I'm just gonna get this one out. I'm really tired of something I see in a lot of stories, which is character suffering equals good writing.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Misery porn. Yes, I hate that.
I just like, again, I'm not saying it can't be sad, it can't have sadness in it, it can't have conflict. Those are pretty vital parts of certain kinds of stuff. That's fine. It's mostly just like people go, "Oh man, that movie made me feel something because it like described this," and it's like, yeah, all they did was just say a thing that's sad. There's no other substance to it, even slightly. And again, I understand some people like certain things about it. I do get that. I'm so tired of everyone praising something because it like made a bunch of characters suffer, basically. And it's like, it's great. It's
What,
cool.
like Elfen Lied?
Elfen Lied was
Oh.
more like, well, it did do that, but it was also just really fucking edgy.
What
Like,
about
it
that
had a
episode
kinda-
of
Well, like
of
the-
Sailor Moon when Tuxedo Mask died?
Tuxedo Mask dies in Sailor Moon?
Fuck? I didn't know that.
You didn't?
Mark, you've,
Oh shit!
you've ruined the entire narrative for me.
That episode aired like literally 25 years ago.
You've literally ruined this entire show for a generation.
25 years ago.
25 years ago was over a generation ago.
Yeah, well, leave me alone. Shut up. Shut the fuck
You
up.
are
No.
not the voice of a generation.
Do not remind me about how old we are.
I don't
I love
like
doing
thinking
that.
about that.
If
What,
I
do you
can,
mean, guys?
give-
The 80s was 20 years ago, right?
Oh God. That's old. I still feel like the 80s were only 10 years ago. I was gonna say on a thing of your early one I want to elaborate on is there was a book I read, and stop me if I've told this story before, but I picked up a book at my auntie's place. It was a bit of it's like they had this big bookshelf full of fantasy books, and I loved my books at the time. I used to read them like crazy because I hadn't found video games yet. And I remember going up to them and I'm like, "Oh, I'd really like to read this." And my mom's like, no, don't. And they're like, "Oh, no, you can take it." And afterwards, mom's like, "Yeah, their son died. That's their dead son's book." I'm like, "Oh." But I read through the book, and it's this story about like, oh, this character becomes an assassin. They grew up on these streets. This is how they evolved. This is their family, so on and so forth. And for the first part, it's like, oh, this is actually really interesting. You know, they've got this romance going on where they like this noble-born girl, and she's like, she likes them. It's like, oh, this is like sort of feel good. And then it just starts getting mean. It's like, oh, but this happens. I'm not even going to mention some of the things because they are not appropriate. But like, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse to the point where it's like, Ryder, do you just hate this character? Because this is bordering on like fucking extreme sadism. This is like, how much can you make a character suffer before I stop seeing them as a character and I just see them as like a fucking punching bag? Because they fucking kept going. It's like, oh, and this, one of the more tame ones is like, the girl gets put into a marriage with this duke, and this duke hates him, and the duke is like, I'm gonna treat her horribly, and I'm gonna do all these horrible things, and it's your fault because I hate you. And it's like, why is this in the book? What is gained from this? You've turned this female character into just being a point of misery for the main character. Do you have anything to like bring to the table
The author
besides
was going through some shit, maybe?
Well,
At first, I thought you were describing Berserk. I'm gonna be honest.
No, that's the thing. Berserk's level of punishment, okay, is about a quarter of this book's.
Oh.
to be fair, while Berserk is just kind of fucking suffering, it's one
struggling.
of the. Here's the thing: it's one of the few examples I can think of a like basically misery porn narrative, but like
Done well?
it's
Compelling?
yes, but like there's like a point to it, if that makes sense. Like it's kind of excessive, but somehow the dude was still able to derive an actual point out of it. And it's not, I'll be real, it's not for me. I can't get into stuff like that because that's just too fucking miserable. But like, again, it just barely did not cross the line with what it was doing story wise. Somehow, the guy was writing a good story.
Yeah, no, I can get behind that. Like, hot take, Berserk had an excellent ending at about the halfway point of the actual manga's total runtime. Because there's a bit right at near the very end. Spoilers for a fucking 40-year-old manga, but there is a bit where Guts meets up with Griffith after Griffith has stopped being the Black Hawk, and Griffith's like, "Hey, I've changed and I've grown, and you haven't, and I don't think you really hate me anymore. I think you just needed something to hate to justify continuing to exist. So I'm just gonna go." And then it ends, and it would end so well with Guts walking to this, because by this point, Casca hates him. Casca loathes him for constantly pushing to this point where everyone that she ever cared about has been pushed away, and he is the sole perpetuator of his own misery. And it's like, this is good. This is how you should end it, because it's like, damn, that's heartbreaking, and I love it. But then Griffith defeats the evil demon lord with a breeze of fresh air.
I think if I can give my own little hot take about Berserk, I think the show isn't that great. There's a lot of filler, like, and the manga's okay,
Which show?
but
There's
Berserk
only
has
one
never
version,
been
it's the
given
Redux.
a very good anime. Admittedly.
But I can say that there
Yeah,
is
that's
a
fine.
there is a series of movies, the Golden Age, or the Golden Years, and they are really well done. They are a condensed synopsis of the entire series up to, like, from the beginning and up to Griffith finally showing that he did nothing wrong. But up to the point where he becomes the demon he always was. But it's super well done. The story is so well written, and the animation style is gorgeous. They intertwine 3D animation with animation, with, like, 2D animation. It's really well done. And then I will admit, I tried to watch season 2, and I was like, what is this 24 FPS 3D animation garbage? And I couldn't watch it.
I will tell
Damn.
you something, Ark. There is only one way to watch the Berserk anime, and that's Redux.
I
Yeah,
don't
they
know.
like redid a bunch of parts of it, didn't they? For like the Blu-ray release or something.
No, so the Redux was a fan creation where they
Ah.
pieced together all the bits from the 80s, the old anime, the new anime, and the movies to create something that's actually a lot more complete.
Okay.
Like, it
pretty cool.
actually fills in a lot of the gaps. And yeah, the animation style keeps changing, but it's good because it's like, hey, you get to see this bit that this one cut out and this one cut out. It's like, I like this. I like what you've done.
Okay.
You did a good job.
Cool.
I'd have to give it a shot then, because I've never heard of it.
It's great. I just stop after the demon tower, the one where they have to go to there, because after that you start getting the newest stuff, and I don't like that segment where it's like, the Inquisitor's now a good character, and all this is happening. It's like, wow, I don't care. I really don't care.
I read, or I watched up to the mansion in season 2.
Yeah, no, that's where you should stop.
That's
Like,
where I stopped.
honestly,
So when
the
I was
mansion is just
I was watching it, and I was so disappointed because the mansion, a lot of really fucked up shit happens in the manga,
yeah.
and there's
I
just
guess
like
it's-
it's not even alluded to happening in the animation.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, not a single one of them does the fairy children or the introduction of Guts, and it's like, that's a fucking shame because those are some of the best bits. Fairy children, I understand why they didn't include it. Fairy children was fuck.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless
Blessings.
With that, I want to make a comment on the art being drawn.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Plastic switches between art styles like on a whim. It's
Oh,
impressive.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I always say that to them.
oh, it's nothing.
No,
Like,
it's
who are
not.
you? Who are these other
It-
artists you've outsourced?
Nintendo.
That's
This
my
theme-
dad.
Off topic, but I'm playing Alone in the Dark on the Game Boy Color on my Switch.
How is it?
I could not fathom playing this game on the Game Boy Color. I gotta be honest. The controls are so wonky. I can't even imagine how this would have looked on a little bitty fucking 2-inch screen. Oh my god.
It's fucking impressive for a Game Boy Color port, though.
It is, but you also have to remember that this was exactly what the original and this is fucked up. This is what the original Resident Evil 1 was going to be.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't there like some kind of weird experimental port of Resident Evil 2 to, I want to say, the Game Boy Advance?
It was on the some Tiger handheld game. But I know what you're talking about. It wasn't Game Boy Advance. It was a very big handheld game. I think it was made by Tiger or Atari or somebody. But it was a 2D version of Resident Evil 2. And it didn't work very well.
No, it's Resident Evil 2 Advance on the GBA.
Really? I've never heard of this one.
Developed by Raylight Studios using the Blue Roses engine. Huh.
I gotta see this.
That's wacky. Oh. I just want to say real quick, if you say something in chat and we don't address it, I mean, there's really only so many topics we can really address in one night, and we generally want to try and squeeze the value we can out of them before jumping on to others. So apologies if we don't get to what you say, but we do see all of it. But I will say, Avery does bring up a very interesting thing that I do, in fact, want to talk about, and that is Dante's Inferno.
I love Dante's Inferno.
Whoa.
It's one of my favorite games. It's one of my
Bringing in
favorite
Psycho, by the way.
stories. It's one of my favorite fucking animated films.
That's funny.
Hello, Psycho.
fucking softs. Well, we may not respond to all of them. We do read all of them.
Look, I like to pretend to be professional sometimes.
No, it's just you said that and it made me immediately think of the Gabe Newell thing that he always says for his games.
Oh, what is the thing Gabe always says?
No, it's just he says he talks about how whenever he releases a game, they get like a certain amount of emails, and you're just like, well, we do not respond to all of them. We do read all of them.
No, they don't.
Sorry.
And when you said that about like the comments and us having a discussion, it made me think of that. I'm like, huh.
We have
brought me back.
received all 500,000 crowbars.
So Dante's Inferno, though, man, it is. That song introduced me to the song "Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone," which is an amazing song. But it was just a Devil May Cry clone, as a lot of games ended up being in this era. But
It was a God of War clone.
God of War clone, yes, but it was just Devil May Cry. But it's
Devil May War.
yeah, Devil May War. But the game was controversial because of its use of babies in combat.
Take it
you
away,
would,
Matt McMuscles.
you would literally kill babies in Purgatorio. But
Fucking they do that in Demon Souls. Come on.
yeah,
And
Sorry,
Dead
I'm
Space.
And
all
Dead
over the
Space.
place.
but Dante's Inferno was really poignant about making it a religious thing, which nobody really liked. But
Yeah, the marketing for that was it was fucking something.
but
Well,
a
that's
lot of
not Dante's fault. That's EA's fault.
a lot of things about Dante's Inferno is so here's something interesting about the Divine Comedy. It is a parody. It is not a funny parody, but it is meant to be a parody about one man's journey of self-reflection.
I believe it's basically the first part is just Dante himself just shit talking people he doesn't like.
Well, the Divine Comedy, written by Dante Alighieri, way back, was literally a parody of one man's inner reflection
and like basically making a parody of what religion was at the time, which is you have all these layers and all these people end up on these layers for being a very specific type of person. And it's like trying to find, okay, if I'm this kind of person, is this where I'm going to end up? No, I'm not going to end up here. No, I'm not going to end up here. I'm going straight to the worst, but then I'm actually free. It's a very interesting self-reflection story. But the way that they did it in the game, and the way that they rewrote the Divine Comedy was
cool.
really cool. Though it was also a lot more depressing. The game was super depressing.
Well, I mean, the Divine Comedy Inferno was, I don't think it was meant to be, like, as I haven't actually read
Infernary,
it, so I'm...
by the way.
Right. I haven't read it, all I know is from osmosis, but from what I know, that book isn't really meant to be, like, super depressing or,
It's
like,
really
dark
not.
or heavier. It's meant to kind of be, like, the tone of it is sort of, like, musing.
Yeah,
and
it's
sort of-
self-reflection.
Yeah. And kind of like a going through a gallery of the afterlife and all.
But
So they turned it into a beat 'em up.
and honestly, they did it really well. Like, they took what the Divine Comedy was and turned it into Dante's Inferno. And the story that they rewrote, story that they gave it, they gave Lucifer a really big dangly wee wee. I mean, it was a really good game.
I'm thinking about it.
You think? I know you
The
think
wee
about it.
wee.
The wee wee. How it jiggles and wiggles throughout his entire fight.
I don't think we've seen dong physics like that since.
No. no, there
Oh.
was a shooter. There was a shooter that had a skin that gave one of the characters a wee wee and it like wiggled and jiggled about, really funny like.
Forgot about Conan Exiles, actually.
And Conan Exiles has it too. Oh, and well, no, Rust doesn't have jiggle physics, does it?
No. Rust's nudity is markedly unerotic.
Yeah.
Non-erotic? Yeah, whatever.
But I mean, Dante's Inferno is really well done. If you've never played it, I know it's gonna suck, but get your hands on a fucking console and get that fucking game, because it is absolutely worth the $80 you'd have to spend to play it.
You probably
you
get
probably
like
also another
probably download it somewhere.
Yeah. There are secret ways to do these things.
But
Alternative
Ancient
methods.
and
There-
ways.
there are alternative methods to playing it, but I do recommend it because it is an amazing game.
Unnatural.
It's everything that DMC Devil May Cry wished it could be.
I thought you were like a staunch defender of DMC.
DMC is a fun game to play. I never said it was a good game.
Yeah, I can
Fair.
agree with that. I kind of like DMC. It's the one I've finished the most.
DMC.
the Demon Killer.
So DMC Devil May Cry is
Sorry.
horribly
Thank
written. It is just a rewrite. And honestly, I've already used this word. I said parody, but DMC
meant
Devil May
satire.
Cry really, satire it's a satire of itself, which is a sad thing. But the gameplay is solid. You know, the levels are solid. It's just the writing is really weird. But the lust fight is a lot of fun. Like, I loved the boss fights in that game.
I just think about Dante and immediately in my head I just hear, fuck you!
Fuck you.
I will
I
say.
mean,
You.
Oh, go ahead. Minty.
Was the Lost Fight the club or the succubus?
The lust fight was when you were in like the sewer like area.
Oh, yeah, no, it's the succubus. That one was okay, but Bob Barker and the dance club. Bob Barker's
That's a
like
good one,
TV
too.
show one. The
Yeah.
dance club was so cool because it's like, hey, let's have some fixed camera angles, and it's like found footage TV.
Yeah, that
I really like that.
it had a lot of really fun ideas. Sadly, the game itself wasn't that great, specifically because of the writing, and people were really mad over the opening of the game when like the mop falls on his head. He's like, "Ugh, not in a million years.
Not in a million years.
And that pissed so many people off, and that's probably a big reason as to why so many people hated the game. Because a lot of people who say it's a bad game haven't actually played it.
Oh, and
It
big
only
ups to
has-
the soundtrack.
oh yeah, it only has one thing that makes it non-canon. In all honesty,
Which part
Like-
is that?
feasibly can fit in. It's that Dante's mom is an angel. That's the only bit. If you remove that, it fits into the narrative before DMC3.
See, I'll be honest, I never played Devil May Cry 1, 2, or 3. So I don't know any of that. I actually started off with Devil May Cry 4 and hated it.
Same. Oh, I love 4.
The only
You should
reason
play
I
Devil
hated
May Cry 2. I heard that's the best one.
the only reason I hated it, like playing as Dante was cool, but I hated playing as Nero. Nero got cool in Devil May Cry 5. Nero was fucking awesome in 5, but in 4, I don't know, I kind of felt about him the exact same way that I feel about Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Fat ass.
No, kind of a rip-off and a fucking repaint of what the previous awesome main character was.
But
Except with a shitty personality.
Raiden's butt is so nice.
He
He's
does
on
have
a
nice ass.
motorboater.
Look,
Are you talking about my caked up booty?
Look, I love Raiden's design. He looks cool. Hell, he even looks cool in Revengeance, and I hated Revengeance. It's such a stupid game. But
It absolutely is, but it's so fun.
it is fun. But, like, Raiden has always had a really nice design. He's always been very attractive. But I cannot stand his personality. And
I
it's
just imagine Ark twiddling his hair while saying that.
his character is ruined by his girlfriend.
Who needs character development when you can be a badass cyborg, right?
Like,
I mean, I
Thank
fucked
you for
that cyborg, he got
summarizing that.
heels.
hear
Thank
me
you for
out.
Summarizing my thoughts on his character turn in Metal Gear Solid 4.
Look, Raiden would have been so much better if it weren't for the fact that he had Rose in his ear the entire time.
I mean,
I hated Rose. Rose ruined Raiden for me. Jack, how could you do this to me? What's going on with you? Why are you such a this and that? Rose, I'm getting shot at! Fuck off!
We managed to avoid drowning.
God.
There's no prompt for that.
I will say one really cool part about Metal Gear Solid 2 was at the very end when like the Colonel was freaking out like he was an AI program. Turn the game off. Open the disc tray and take out the CD. It's all just a game, Raiden.
That fucked with me when I was a kid.
Dude, same.
Yeah.
I have a story, and this is really weird because I've never been able to replicate it. So, in a demo disc that I had, it had Final Fantasy VII as a demo. Okay? It had a very short bit of Final Fantasy on it. And, it takes you all the way up to the tutorial level. Or the tutorial in, Sector 7. You know, where, like, the guys teach you about how to play the game and all that. And, the dog there, you could talk to the dog. And the dog would, like,
dog.
there's a little dog and he'll explain how certain things work. But for me, he ended up saying, if you want to continue, take out the game, or open the disc tray and take out the game. And me being like 4 years old or 5 years old, I opened the disc tray and took out the game and closed the disc. And then I could like walk around still, because you could still do that in old PS1 games. But I tried talking to the dog again, and he just showed me 3 fucking dots, like an ellipses, and nobody else would interact, but the dog would. And then the game like glitched out and crashed and froze. I've never been able to repeat that, and it was so fucking weird.
I could be wrong, but like I assume that means that the game was like in some part loaded into RAM, and it just couldn't read anything else after that.
But the
Did
thing
it
is,
need
the
to?
dog told me to do it, and I could never get the dog to tell
Always
me to
with
do it
this
again.
excuse, Ark.
No, I'm serious. The dog had a text box that said, to continue playing, take out the game, or open the disc tray and take out the game. And I tried doing it, and then the dog just ellipses. And then, you know, I played that demo so many times because I loved Final Fantasy VII. But, he never said it again. And I've never been
dog.
able to repeat it.
If the dog told you to pull off your skin, would you do it?
If the dog was
yes,
telling me to
yes,
do it,
yes.
probably, because there's something weird going on. I think it's probably my fault.
Thank you. I
Our
Dog
appreciate it.
said.
Ark, did you know that the Dante's Divine Comedy, some of the figures you mentioned were Greek and Roman figures and mentioned by Greek mythology? Yes. So back in the days of Dante Alighieri, Christianity wasn't really a thing. It was still being built up around. It wasn't what we know today. So there was still like Greek and Roman mythology were still very heavily influencing what they saw as Christianity. And that's why half of the Bible is literally bashing the Romans.
I'm so full from communion wafers. Yum.
The whole
I
book
never
is
got
just
to
like.
eat those.
In fact, I think his like literally what was the girl that like he had like the hots for the whole poem?
I don't remember her name.
God, but that was like the whole thing is that like he's gonna go find this girl that like he really liked and like she died or something like that. What was her name? On the tip of my tongue, it was like Grace or Olivia or something. Well, anyway, the point I was gonna make was that like that girl was actually like his childhood crush, like his actual childhood crush back in the day.
Beatrice, that was her name. Beatrice.
That was it. Thank you.
So again, it was a self-reflection and a parody of what they had as religion back then. And yes, it was a self-reflection of I would go through hell. Am I going to wind up here? Am I going to wind up here? But I would go through hell to do such and such. But at the end of the story, or at the end of the epic, is it an epic? No, it's a poem. At the end of the poem, it turns out that none of it was even needed. You want to talk about a great epic, though? You know what a really good epic is? Beowulf.
The Odyssey.
Beowulf.
I've not read Beowulf.
Oh, it is so good. It's not very long, but the story of Beowulf and what's his name?
Gagir?
No, not
2450 damage.
No, it's the epic of
Ugas.
Beowulf and
Gilgamesh.
no, Beowulf.
Garuga Mesh.
Garugamesh.
No, it was
Where is he now?
what was his
Getting laid.
name? I can't remember the monster's name. Grendel.
Oh,
Grendel.
Grendel.
Yeah. But there aren't very like back in the day. I wasn't really impressed by 3D animation, right? It was like Final Fantasy, Spirits Within, and fucking Toy Story, and things that you could tell were 3D, but at an uncanny valley level. But Beowulf, the movie,
I've
Is-
seen it.
so good.
The creature scares me.
Which one, Grendel?
I think.
Yeah.
Grendel.
Yeah, he's very scary. But it was such a good movie, and the story of Beowulf is actually like really, really sad. Beowulf being a mercenary who, a monster slayer, who was seduced by someone who granted him his every wish, which his every wish was to be rich. He wanted to be a king, and he got to be exactly that. But it was a now you have everything, I'm going to take it all away situation. Really good one.
I hate that game design trope.
Well, this is one of the ways that it was well deserved. Beowulf was a very cocky, very lecherous, and he was very strong. Like, don't get me wrong, he earned everything that he got. He slayed monsters, he fought dragons, he fought armies almost single-handedly. But he was one of those people who was like, I am all that and the bag of chips,
Yeah.
I do remember that gold-covered Angelina Jolie did something to my little reptile brain.
Yeah, gold-covered Angelina Jolie was pretty hot.
What did I walk into? What did I
What a
come
good-
back to?
What a good
back,
thing to
Elliot.
come back to.
Gold Michael Sarah in year 1.
Michael Cera.
You know, if-
think about Michael Cera.
Hold on, let me double check to make sure I know who Michael Cera is.
Scott Pilgrim.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Awkward boy.
Yeah, he's a handsome man, but he's also, I've heard, exceptionally awkward.
I mean, I think that's just kind of his style.
No,
That's
like
kind of why they hired him.
like the like what I mean by that is anybody who's worked with him who've ever talked about him and had to like say, is he actually like this? Because all of his characters in games are usually very socially awkward.
You mean movies?
Yeah, movies. I'm sorry. All of his movies, all of his characters tend to be very socially awkward. A lot of actors I've seen talking about him have said, no, he's just very socially awkward. He's a great guy, but he's awkward. That's just how he is.
Fair enough.
Sir, if
Gets
anyone
paid for
hasn't
it.
if anyone hasn't seen this before, just letting you know, Ultra Fucker is me. I am the interloper named Ultra Fucker.
I wish somebody could have been clever enough to name me Hot Coldman.
Clever? Is that the word we're using?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I want to be Hot Coldman.
I don't think you want to be Hot Coldman. He's bald.
What's wrong with being bald?
Do you really want to be
So
bald?
cringe.
Sunburn.
Yeah, I don't want a sunburn on my head. I got a little baby head. If it gets too burnt, I'll get my soft spot back.
You can slide across cars like Goku.
How much time do we have on the stream?
However much
down.
time you want, baby.
The best way that I can say it is whenever I feel like hitting that end stream button, but we've only been going for an hour and 14 minutes.
Alright. Just checking, because I know I kind of came in late.
You're fine.
I might
And you're putting out a good
head
Nif Nof.
soon-ish.
Oh, thank you.
I do feel bad for anybody watching the stream because I don't feel bad because I love this fucking song, but they've gotten to listen to Hydrogen for the past hour and 14 minutes.
Jesus.
I wouldn't mind.
God.
Maybe change it up a little bit.
No, Hydrogen is good.
Yeah, but
you don't
for
like Hotline-
114 minutes.
You don't like
It's been
Hotline
a-
Miami?
It's
I
been
know.
exceedingly quiet.
That's good
Yeah,
at
that's
least.
true. Anyone who wants to can just put their own music over it.
That's a good point.
It's that quiet.
Yeah.
And that's about how loud the music should be, because
Who's
Shit
an
gets
underrated
annoying.
mythological hero? Who was King Arthur's? Who?
if they were incredible enough to be put into myth, they're not fucking underrated.
Well, who was the one who wanted to kill King Arthur, his nephew? He was raised.
Statue Thomas.
He was raised by Arthur's sister to kill Arthur out of jealousy because she was jealous of King Arthur.
His name was
I'll-
Lamer Arthur.
His name was
It was literally Prince Charming. He fucking like tried to get rid of Arthur in Shrek 3 so that he could be king because he thought Far Far Away was his rightful.
Uh-huh. No, keep going.
Dude, that was so sad when he tried to kill Shrek. That was so fucking sad when Shrek was just like resigned to it. God
that's
damn.
fair.
He-
You guys
he got
know
over it.
that. You guys know that King Arthur isn't their real name?
Mordred. Is
Go
that
ahead.
it? Mordred.
No, I forget her name, but she's a hot blonde lady with anime eyes.
No, Mordred
Oh,
is the one who
God.
tried to kill
Watch
Arthur.
Fate Stay Night. It's really good.
I'm gonna get pizza up here.
It's not that good.
The fucking fate callback. How'd I know?
It
It's-
wasn't his nephew. I was wrong about that.
It is entertaining to watch. I won't lie, but is it well written? That's depends on who you ask.
Debatable.
It's debatable. It is very entertaining, though. I will say that much. Also, if you watch the UFO table stuff, it's very well animated too. It comes from actually comes from a visual novel. Has 1,000,000,001 roots, which is why there's so many versions of the anime. Is because each anime is kind of doing a different VN route.
So it's like,
I don't
what
know.
would happen if all of those games that prided themselves on your choices matter actually followed through with that?
Yeah, there's like a billion ways for the story to be completely and drastically different to give them credit. Some of those ways are let's just say you have to
Dumb.
be not dumb. You have to be desensitized to certain Japanisms.
How many panty shots, Ellie?
I don't know because I don't keep track. And to be frank with you, I'm not interested in the VN. I'm just very aware of it because I used to know people who were really into it and they wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. Yeah, that was fun.
Looks at fucking hell, my brain's melting out of my skull.
Good.
Sorry.
That just means you're
Yeah.
normal-ish.
All right, I'm back in the canyon.
Yeah.
Welcome back from the Grand Canyon.
Means your head is functioning.
I don't know. How...
Mordred is only King Arthur's son in one version of the story, but normally he's a half brother to Gawain, who is King Arthur's nephew.
Yeah.
I was responding to the chat.
Totally fair.
Minty, what is that? What is that? Thumbnail? No, not thumbnail. Link tag that you have down at the bottom left.
I've already closed the app, so I can't read it for you. I'm sorry.
You closed the app?
Yeah, I think my body's out of energy at the art. It's like, oh boy, that was quick.
That is fair.
Not usually that
That happens sometimes.
It says, oh, let me zoom in.
Oh,
Minsky biddy bop skadupiddy scoop boop doopity loop.
I'm the scat man.
Wow, we are very bored.
I'm not bored.
I'm working, so
I'm a little out of energy too.
I mean, this could be a good place to call it if everybody's ready. Let Psycho
That's
finish
fine.
his drawing.
No, I'm done.
Ah.
We're done.
Okay.
sure. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
we can go ahead and call it here because everybody's pretty tired.
No problem.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Let's zoom in and see what everybody's drawings are.
Yeah.
Okay, up here we have... Up here on the top left, we got Shrimp. I think that was his name, right? Shrimp?
Something
Yep.
like that.
Yeah.
It's a shrimp, is that?
And and then we have... I think this is one of those...
It's Asmodeus.
And that's...
Asmodeus,
My
yeah.
Asmodeus.
It reminds me of that one game, Health Takers?
That
Uh-huh.
she is from Helltaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have... Shadow and Rouge?
Mm-hmm. She's like, I don't got chocolates, I don't got flowers, I don't got a Valentine's card.
It's so demanding.
Beautiful as always. And over here we have
Gems are mine.
we have Valentine's Day Penty saying
Yes.
Some good snitties.
Happy Valentine's Day with them snitties.
I'm seeing something heart shaped.
Yeah, I am definitely seeing something heart shaped, and I think it is this ass. So we have a teeny tiny little minty down here saying, why am I out of energy? Tired. And over here we have lust. We have Cherry Bomb with that ass up. Let's
She has a
go.
tiny waist.
Good. And down here at the
I know
bottom
my
right,
weaknesses.
we have Psycho drawing Nifty saying, remember to fall in love with yourself, loser.
Oh,
Aw.
Hey. Kill you,
so
bitch.
sweet.
I like me.
Damn. But thank you everybody for joining us tonight, and we will see you all next time. I don't know if we're doing anything this Wednesday. We'll see. But good night and happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's.
Valentine's.
Love y'all.